Hey there, it's Arsenine and welcome back to Plants vs Zombies. This is part 2 of the series and basically I'll be doing the entire night segment as part of this video, which hopefully won't be as long as the day segment. And oh yeah, if you haven't checked out the previous part of the series and you want to get a full picture of some of the things I've talked about, briefly put, what I mentioned about myself was to mainly gear up for the inevitable day that I push the go live button to actually start streaming. At this point, it's not really a matter of if, but when. Not anytime soon, obviously, but, you know, I suppose with this lengthy intro out of the way, let's jump right back into adventure. Evening, Arsenine. Those zombies just won't let up, will they? You'll notice that fighting zombies at night is different from then in the day. For one, you won't get any sun falling from the sky, obviously, since it's nighttime. You can still get sun from sunflowers though. And lucky for you, got some puff shrooms. Yeah. Plant as many of these and you'll be a-oh good. Now, I briefly look at some of the achievements and one of it is no fungus among us, which means, and yes, Among Us meme, I know. So that basically means you cannot use any, mushrooms of any type. I find that this first level of the night is usually the easiest one to do it. So this is what I'm going to do. And yeah, that'll be fine. Actually, no, this will be better because it's slightly cheaper and it might have some use. Yeah, this is just a warning, so it's like, yeah, it'll be extremely difficult. Not really, to be honest. Let's go. And yeah, graze on your front lawn, I know. Oh, by the way, when I eventually splice the segments together, so basically the day entire segment, the night entire segment, and the pool, fog, and roof. Yes, I remember it's called the roof as the last segment. I'll just remove the intro section so it would not be too long and too drawn out. And after all, if I have all the different intros, it technically wouldn't make sense for an entire large chunk, so to speak. So yeah, I should be fine. The RNG of the sunflowers kind of ass though. So if I get another sun from this one soon, then I can, yep, okay, good. Okay, that was pretty good RNG. That's nice. Basically, 2 rolls of sunflower should be enough. And I'm entirely hinging my strategy on potato mine. Technically, I think this is the only time you really see me talking about any form of strategy of this game. Mainly for this mission because I'm pretty sure you guys are curious as to how I'm gonna clear it, right? So, yeah. Probably put a walnut to stall that one. Do I need a stall? I don't think I need a stall, actually. That's enough. Oh, it's heading for the top, bro. That's not ideal, actually. Okay. Oh, by the way, to continue what I mentioned last time, yes, I'm studying overseas in the UK. And if you guys are wondering how the UK age verification thing affects me, well, it didn't really affect me, so to speak, since I'm still doing the same style on whatever of content that I'm doing right now. So don't worry too much about it. I'm mainly still gonna stick to my monthly upload for whatever it is that I'm doing. And hopefully you guys actually enjoy that section. This is actually part of a new thing I'm doing, like a series style content. That way you guys actually get more things to see. And frankly, I'm also doing this to test out to see what the audience, which is you guys, actually like to see. I don't really know right now. I'm just doing random things at the moment. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, obviously let me know. You don't have to like the video, just give me a comment and everything would be fine. Yeah, I need to plant that. I need to store one of that and it should be fine. It should spawn. Yep, knew it. Aha, okay, I'll stall this one. Yeah, so everything's going swimmingly anyways, and before I get too distracted talking about the UK ID verification and all that, so yeah, the censorship and everything doesn't really have too much of an impact on me right now. I'm just gonna continue doing the content that I've always liked to create. And I guess if you guys want to know a little bit more about me studying overseas, well, one of the most interesting things about studying so far away from home, because I'm a Singaporean, is that, I definitely get more independence doing all of this by myself. Because since I'm, well, so far away from home, all the things I need to do, like, you know, laundry, setting up everything, whether I prep my meals or whether I just stick to ordering out, which I don't do that often anyways, I just stick to preparing my own meals. All this actually takes time, and I need to balance that with my academics, and since I stay alone, obviously it's gonna be difficult. I don't have any relatives in the UK anyways. It also gives you free opportunity, well, me at least, free opportunity to go places. Essentially, you can go around, explore the European countries nearby, and it's been great, to be honest. I do admit though, one thing is that it definitely does get lonely being here, because if I didn't meet any friends, which I'm honestly blessed to have met so many supportive friends and everything over here, and it's because of them that they kind of keep me afloat, keep my head on straight, so to speak, so that I can prepare myself for the academic year. I usually use posts to communicate to you guys about what I'm doing generally, so hopefully you guys are aware of what I'm doing there and at least better understand at least my current situation, which is like, oh, you know, maybe I have this going on, especially if it's academic year and whatnot. Yep, raised the dead. So yeah, whether there's anything that suddenly happens, I will definitely update you guys on post, so hopefully you guys at least look at that if you want to know the latest of what's happening to me at the very least. If you guys don't want to do that, it's fine, because all you really need to do is that mainly I still stick to the monthly content, so don't worry too much about anything else, okay? For this series, I think the main reason is that I want to stick to actually having like a backlog of games that I have played, and you know, Plants vs Zombies is rather nostalgic and a lot of people definitely enjoy the game, so that's why I'm playing it right now. And yeah, it's fine. Yay, Sunshroom, and I did it with no mushroom, so yeah. Yep, okay. There we go. You got 300 bucks. Yeah, 750. Yeah, I know what it is, so don't worry about it too much. Anyways, because I now have this, and sorry, I was dragging the thing across my screen, which is why it kind of glitched out so horribly just now. But yeah. So yeah, as a result of that, right, hopefully you guys understand my the reason for that sudden lag is because I was dragging it across the screen. The window's really small anyways. So I will say that for those struggling with mental health, right, because I was mentioning how it gets lonely over here anyways, and how I cope is my support network, which are my friends. But for those struggling with mental health and say that, oh, you know, it's tough to stay alone, I can't do anything, you know, it makes me depressed, it's hard to keep your head on straight, to focus and everything. And mainly it's for those who second guess all their capabilities, right? I will have something to say to you, because someone will definitely need to hear it, and I don't know who's out there is lucky enough to want to hear this from me, especially since I'm a total nobody who's saying this. But if you think you cannot do something, ask yourself this: to your closest friend that you might meet in, you know, wherever you met him in life, be it in school, be it you grew up with him or her, or whomever it is, like maybe your closest friend or family. Sorry, I forgot to mention the idea of family. If you're always looking down on yourself, sorry, ask yourself, right, can you ever say that about, you know, your family member, so to speak, or your friend, like, oh yeah, can you do this, or you can't do this, why, you know, like that kind of thing. Like, example, let's just contextualize it so I actually have a nice example for you guys to follow along. Is that, let's just say I'm struggling to get a job, or I'm struggling to find a girlfriend, or I'm struggling to do whatever it is that I'm doing, right? And then you go to your closest friend or family and says that, oh yeah, you're gonna struggle doing that. No normal person would ever do that, okay? You would basically say that, oh no, you will eventually find it. I could never say anything bad about them because, you know, they're cool, they've been supportive of you and everything like that, right? And it's because of terms like this which I should then say, like, yeah, as a result of that, you can't say those harsh things or those negative things to your friend, your family, whomever. And since you can't say it to them, why do you ever think you could say it about yourself? Just keep that in mind whenever you're trying to deal with, you know, such stressful situations, because, you know, everyone has a bad day, and it's always up to us, the people who know better, to respect the opinions and lives of other people. Yeah, that's mainly all I really have to say in terms of mental health. Because I know someone will definitely have to hear that from me or from anyone else who matters, who's more important to you. The reason why I'm saying it in such a disconnected way, it's not because I don't care about you guys. I do. But frankly, I'd be lying if I say I knew you as well as your closest friend or family, right? Like, hello? You barely know me. I'm just a random dude on the internet. So how can you ever say that you, or rather I, have as much significance to you as your closest friend or family? That's why I don't put myself up in that vein. See? Anyways, depressing things aside, I hope you guys are enjoying this series so far. Feel free to mention what you would want to actually see in the comments below and how I would improve all of this criticism and everything. I would take it and read it, because that's how I improve. That's how we improve as people. You see? We don't improve by staying still. We improve by moving forward. We can't run away from it. After all, we can run towards it, right? And I accept the criticism that I get, because this improves what I can do. Like, definitely from the last video, right, I positioned the mic a little bit better. It's actually not the best. Okay, I think it's better now. I could just, yeah, I clearly just AFK'd a bit there, because it's fine. I'm not losing as a result of this setup. So, yeah. Once I get, you know, the Gravebuster, that would actually be great, because these just end up in the way for the most part. I don't remember what's the next plant. Is it like... Is it Hypno or Scaredy Shroom? I think Hypno's much later, but... oh wait, no, I think next one's Fume Shroom, right? Because screen doors do exist. So, yeah. I'm saving the cherry for later. Yeah, just keep eating that. So yeah, again, why do I not talk strategy when I'm playing Plants vs Zombies? Because, well, it definitely has elements of strategy, and it's essentially just a tower defense game, so to speak, right? You're just having these lanes to protect and everything. Then again, I don't really know the true genre of this. I never really paid much attention to it, other than the fact that it's just fun and nostalgic. So yeah. Where's the bucket? Nah, never mind. That's good enough, because I can just wall him off like that. Yep, perfect. And eventually I'll win. So yeah. For other games that I play, or I plan to play in the future, I eventually do plan to play things like, I think, Persona 5 and everything like that added on. I've played it before. I haven't played the new Persona 3, and I haven't actually played the original Persona 3. Makes me ashamed to say that, because I think a lot of people tout Persona 3 as a really good game. But yep, I actually haven't played it before. And I have seen people play it before, so... It's not that I haven't done it before at all, but I have seen people play before. So I think that's kind of why I never needed to, you know, invest myself into doing that. And with the new Atlas teaser on how Persona 4 is just going to get a remake, I'm just going to wait for that before adding it to, like, you know, a list of games I've played. I've played Persona 4 Golden a lot, and it's actually my first introduction to Persona. Then I played Persona 5 and then Royale. So yeah, I definitely played more of the recent ones. And if they're going to maintain that level of graphics quality and quality of life changes, then obviously I'm just going to play those in the future when those eventually come up, right? Although I will say it's slightly shameless of them to, in retrospect, port over most of this to, I think, actually, it won't matter for, you know, those who play on PC, but like for, I think, console players, they actually ported over the original versions of, I think, Persona 3 and Persona 4. Actually, not the original version of Persona 4, but, you know, the original version of Persona 4 Golden, without much modification to, I think, you know, any of the audio and everything. So it sounds like how do you expect it sound, so to speak. And as a result of that, I felt that it sort of like was a quick cash grab, or just felt, you know, cash grabby to like the people who didn't know, and then Persona 3 Reloaded came out, right? So it's like, yo, come on, man. That was pretty shameless as a cash grab, don't you think? But, you know, at that point in time, they didn't know, and maybe the team that was assigned to porting over, you know, Persona 3 and Persona 4 didn't know that that was what they're gonna do. Although, if I have to say honestly, my personal thoughts, they definitely knew that. Okay, I need a Team Shroom at the top lane. But yeah, it won't reach, so let's just do that. Okay, so yeah, that's just my take on, you know, game companies. Anyways, I don't have much of a say in terms of what to say about the game company, because it's not like I'm a game developer and who knows what's actually going on behind the scenes and everything like that. Oh, but speaking of game companies and stuff, I will eventually, and this is a promise by the way, I'll eventually get to playing Palworld, okay? The only thing discouraging me from playing is actually the current like ongoing lawsuit and everything with Nintendo regarding Palworld. But don't worry, I will play it because I feel that I should eventually just get around to playing it and not worry about the thing. Not because I'm afraid, not because I'm not afraid of Nintendo, mind you. It's more like it'll be cool to actually have a game there that's like, oh yeah, I played it, and I played it before anything happened to it, right? Although, if you ask me honestly, I doubt anything will happen to it, because what Nintendo is standing on in terms of like any legal ability to, you know, prevent certain things from happening is non-existent in my opinion. Again, most of these are my opinions, right? And again, if you're not here to listen to my opinions, just feel free to, you know, ignore all my rambling, because that's not important, right? Alright, move quicker, zombie. It's over already. But yeah, that's just my take on like the whole situation. And eventually I get around to playing Palworld. I don't know what unhinged thing I can do in Palworld. Like, I guess I could... Oh yes, Gravemaster. I guess I could just use guns and try to win the game with only guns. Yeah, sure, yes. Upgrade, yep. You don't really have much of a use for money anyways in most situations. So, yeah. That'd be great. More graves. Okay, that's a misinput. I actually want to put it there. Okay, anyways. Again, off tangent, talking about like Palworld and Nintendo, right? My introduction to Nintendo was Pokemon. I played a lot of Pokemon back then, actually. Like, oh, sorry, I clicked off. The first Pokemon game I played was, I think, Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. I played Ruby. And yeah, that was actually, I think, some of the most fun I had when I was playing with my siblings, like, Pokemon. Because back then, I didn't understand strategy. I can, like, shamelessly admit that. My idea of strategy was higher level equals better, which... let's face it, that's the strategy for any kid before you really learn type advantages and everything. Although, it's pretty interesting that that game essentially taught, you know, young kids to know the difference in type specifications, right? Like, if you think about it, like, oh yes, you know that fire get put out by water and blah 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 blah, and then eventually you learn, okay, yes, that's what you should do. Although some have never made much sense to me, like, you know, why water would eventually lose to grass. Okay, that never made sense to me. If you are, you know, educated on that matter, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I haven't seen any like external information about like, oh, someone actually explaining why certain types have certain advantages over others. I do know some things like steel and, you know, poison and stuff like that, types like that, and why it doesn't work, so to speak, is because obviously like steel is like okay, sorry. Steel is not like iron specifically, so as a result of it being like steel, right, it cannot rust, so it cannot corrode in your typical way. And interesting enough, interestingly enough, that's why later on they eventually added Pokemon abilities. Like, I think the ability was like what, corrosion, which allows poison types to still give poison, the status condition, to I think steel types. I'm not too sure about that one. It's been a hard minute since I played Pokemon. I stopped, like, I think after Sun and Moon. That was the last one I played. So yeah. It's been a real long time since I played any Pokemon. And, you know, always mad respect to anyone who plays any form of competitive Pokemon, because you see those competitive battlers, right? They definitely have to think about how to use certain moves, EV train their Pokemon, get, you know, their perfectly bred super soldiers, and that's what basically everyone says, right, about their Pokemon. So yeah, that is kind of in stark defiance to your typical idea of Pokemon, right? That, you know, you have these super beefed up things that can essentially, even though they look like essentially like a Pikachu, or I think it was what, a Pachirisu, you can still win the world tournament because this cute Pokemon is actually a beast, so to speak, right? For lack of better terms. Can you stop going down the middle lane, dude? Okay, stop it. But yeah, that's basically the last I played any form of Pokemon. I don't know whether I will ever play any of the new Pokemon games, because I think the new ones just never interest me. Like, okay, I think, okay, that was a lie. It's not that the new ones never interest me, it's that I never wanted to keep getting newer and different consoles to just play games. Like, personally, I never got a Switch, never got or owned a Switch actually. So you might be saying, oh yeah, I'm missing out on games like Legend of Zelda and, you know, Mario and everything like that. But at the same time, it's not a huge loss for me, considering the fact that most of the time currently on the internet, you can always watch other people like play those games. And I think that's half of the satisfaction for me, like watching other people play the game and just enjoying it from their perspective. That's also another reason why I do my own like content. If I can just have someone, right, anyone who genuinely enjoys what I do, that's enough for me. I don't have to be like some hyper popular entertainer. Again, it was never a goal for me to be like an entertainer or be popular. I just want to have something to look back on with fondness, so to speak, you know? Okay, boom. Yep, there we go. Next wave will be fine. Okay, jump over that. There we go. Yeah, the versatility of Puff Shroom, especially since its recharge rate and Zero Sun, is so good. Even though it's short range, you see it hits like 3 tiles away. I think it's max range of 3, right? So yeah. So yeah, everything is going fine. Die. Okay, there we go. I'm not a fan of walnuts, that's kind of why I don't put them down. Yep. Okay, go. I'm a fan of the tall nuts, not walnuts, because they can't be vaulted over, which would be important for a different kind of monster you will see in the pool levels. But yeah, you know, when I say monster, I mean zombie. Why did I say monster? There's a huge brain fart there, I suppose. Oh, screen door down there as well. Ideal. There we go. The pierce damage from this is just too good, man. There we go. Ooh. The Suburban Almanac, yeah. Basically it just logs everything. You don't really need to see that. I play a game called Whack Zombie. It's just like hunting squirrels. You know those furry little rodents that dig holes in your lawn? Yeah, just like that, but instead of squirrels, it's zombies. Instead of a shovel, it's a mallet. And instead of me, it's you. Yeah, I do have a strategy for this one. It's one of my favorite games, actually. Probably one of the easier mini-games to get money when you want to play this on repeat. Walnut bowling is actually also the easy one. Yeah. Yeah, so whenever you get sun, you just try to limit the number of different lanes you can go down by doing that. And if you can concentrate them here, it's ideal. yeah. Anyways, what I mentioned about, you know, the games I played last time. So to just fill in the gaps for those who didn't watch the last video anyways, it's that I used to play Destiny, and yeah, so I know some people's thoughts on Destiny is like, it's not exactly the, you know, the best game, especially in its current state, with like so many of the content creators that would actively play Destiny just not play the game, right? So I can understand the problems with the thing, but I think I failed to elaborate on why the state of the game always becomes like that, right? I think for most people, the surface level is that the game is not fun, hence, you know, people leave the game. But there are many underlying issues with why the game became like that in the first place, right? Because the game doesn't just collapse overnight, right? You know, but technically, from how all the content creators seem to be leaving in massive droves, you could have the impression that it did collapse overnight. So I'm not here to defend Destiny, but this is just my personal take, okay, in regards to Destiny. So we know that Destiny, at least from a game point of view, hasn't had the best history. Even in D1, we were kind of sold Taken King as like a sort of, how do I say this, like a half-finished original D1, because what a lot of people felt and have actually said was that D1 used to actually include all the way up until Taken King, and Taken King was just resold to us so that they can milk more money from us, right? The only thing that was genuinely different, which actually is still my favorite expansion till now, is Rise of Iron, because I think Wrath of the Machine is just my favorite raid of all time. Even taking the precedent, ooh, 1000. Even taking over the precedent of like some of the raids, like you know, the Final Shape raid. Okay, let's see, I'm gonna do one more of this first. But yeah, as a result of that, that's kind of why I've always preferred like the older raids, and especially when you hear that Final Shape, okay, I'm sorry, the Rise of Iron raid. Oh, penny pincher, that's funny. 30 coins in a row, is it? Yeah, I just got the pop-up there and it's like 30 coins in a row without any of them despawning. But yeah, before I get interrupted as sidetracked multiple times again, the main point of Rise of Iron is the fact that it was made by a limited and significantly smaller development team that, you know, was told to essentially maintain the D1 servers up until, you know, D2 came out, right? So as a result of that, it's the fact that such a small team could still deliver a decent raid with, you know, rather diverse mechanics, because it wasn't just standing on the plate again, although it did have some elements of that. The siege engine was what I considered unique and varied in the way it presented itself, like when you had to, you know, go and repair the siege engine so it can roll off the wall and just fall down and explode. Yeah, that was one of the best parts, honestly, playing that. So the memory still stays with me. And I think around the time when Destiny 2 first came out, it was when I was in secondary school. So as a result of that, I think I was in secondary 4 and I was busy studying for O-levels, basically like ordinary level examinations. I think most people from the UK would actually know what that is. Don't know if anyone who's, you know, American really knows what O-levels is, but basically it's like your high school exam, so to speak. Well, actually it's not really, it's in between middle and high school, right? So yeah, basically those exams. So as a result of that, I kind of neglected Destiny for a fair bit of time, and when I came back, the game was more or less dead, because a lot of people said that Curse of Osiris was horrible, and you know, it seemed like another cash grab, blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff. You get the drill. And Forsaken came back with a vengeance, and people said it was the best expansion of all time, because, you know, at least no more static rolls. You could finally get a shotgun as, you know, a secondary weapon again, and like, you know, all the things that would essentially tell you that the developers of the game actually want to listen to their audience. However, this is, in my opinion, the start of what the developers could consider, what they could push to the audience, and what the audience would accept as a result of what they chill out / push. Now, what do I mean by that? So, as you know, in the current grand scheme of like, you know, Destiny and content creation, you know that the, how do I say this? The developers or whoever's actually running the show at Destiny right now always tend to roll back certain unpopular updates, like certain changes they introduce to the game. Eventually they decide to turn around and say, oh no, you know, that's a bad idea, okay? And then they just proceed to not go forward with that. So that's what I mean by it began, yeah, brain fart. It began the start of the let's see what we can do. Oh, that's a bad idea. Let's turn around and do something else kind of moment, okay? And that happened for a very long time. But at the same time, around Forsaken was actually the start of, I think, seasonal content being released. I think it was season of the armory and a few other things, like the black armory and everything like that, which was cool, don't get me wrong. It was a cool season, everyone liked it. But the problem with most of the situations that you present with yourself with the seasonal model and having a season pass, battle pass and everything like that was that there was no true alternative to get any in-game currency realistically that could allow you to get the battle pass for, you know, free. Popular games such as, you know, like Fortnite and whatever, I have played it a little bit, not really a fan of it. And I know a lot of people probably be like, you're not a fan of Fortnite? Nah, no, I'm not a fan of Fortnite. Because I think it just sucks compared to so many other people, which is why I don't really like it. Anyways, yeah. You see, games like Fortnite, they do give you the option, in quotes, to essentially not spend real money and use their, you know, virtual currency to get it. And as a result of that, it gives you players options. You see, it gives the players option, like, if I play enough, which is what you kind of want the player to do, sink their time to playing the game, right? They can get past the season pass. But, you know, everything in Destiny has to be paid for, so it's silver. Okay. Anyways, fast forward a little bit more. Then eventually, I think Activision was like, oh, you know, Destiny wasn't actually delivering what we wanted, blah, blah, blah. They parted ways and all that kind of good stuff. And we thought for a second, right, that, oh, this is where Bungie kind of comes back. But we kind of believed it, right? Well, everyone believed it because it was thought that Activision was horrible. And as a result of that, we believed that, you know, Shadowkeep would be a turning point. But over time and time again, we realized that we never ever got the quality of Shadowkeep. No, sorry. We never actually got the quality of Forsaken ever again. And the reason that, you know, most players don't know is that it was outsourced to third-party companies, right? To basically, you know, make the Forsaken a complete and total experience, so to speak. It's basically a whole package delivered. And as a result of that being delivered, the player base was like, oh yeah, this is the content and the expectation we have of Bungie. But at the same time, that was never what we got, because we never ever got something, frankly, as good as Forsaken. But what I would like to say is, it's not necessarily that Forsaken was good, because Forsaken was just returning what the players essentially lost as a result of D2 first being released. So I think that was the illusion there, right? You sold a dream, you sold an illusion, right? You sold the illusion that, hey, you know, the players want this, we give it back to them, and then they're not gonna be mad at us anymore. So that was what I meant by they sold the illusion. And I know a lot of Destiny players are gonna probably come up to me and be like, yo bro, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But trust me bro, I've been there. I have been a Destiny player for a very long time. And the thing is, I'm not afraid of it, because the most important thing out of all of this, and even me yapping about this right now, is that I enjoyed the game, right? Do you enjoy the game? Even though you may not enjoy it now, do you enjoy the game? If you did, then there's nothing to be ashamed about if you say you dislike the game now for other reasons. That's perfectly fine. Anyways, as we continue on, we had Beyond Light, which is when we first got Stasis, and that shit was broken in PvP. A lot of people complained, and if you're not already aware, I was mainly a PvP player in Destiny, so yeah. It was around that time where I actually returned to playing Destiny, and I played it for a pretty long time, even during the time I was still having to study for my A-levels. But yeah, it was fun, so that's why I played it. Although some deceptive practices with the idea of, you know, sunsetting our content, not the weapons, by the way. The weapons being sunset was more or less a standard thing. That's the only way they could get the player base to constantly be playing, you know, by artificially restricting your power. By doing that, you essentially don't have a way to get the weapon again unless you farm for it again, see? This led to a lot of situations where people were deleting their vaults only to realize that actually after deleting your vault, they did return basically the unsunsetted, or rather what people call the sunsetting, right? And then it was only short-lived, because if you think about in the grand scheme of things, with the new changes to the latest things in Destiny, at least from what I've been hearing from some of my friends, is that you still have to go and farm for the weapons because they have different tiers. And when I heard about all of that, I just about had a huge brain aneurysm, because I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna do this for the 13th time in 13 years. Well, technically it's only been like, what, 12 years of Destiny at this point in time. Technically 11, right? But yeah. Yeah, sorry, no, I just went to refresh my mind. It's only been 11 years of Destiny, spanning D1, D2, so yeah. I was not gonna do this for like the 11th time in a row. And honestly, most people say that the second they took away our content should have been the cue to quit. But at the same time, again, I think we mainly stayed, and to build off what I mentioned in my last you know, video, was the fact that I stayed because my friends stayed, right? My friends mainly played PvP. We mainly played PvP because that was the most fun thing at the time. But eventually people left. Why did people leave? Very simple. People left because the game was just not fun. But then you need to understand why people left. So again, I'm just gonna fast forward through things like Witch Queen and everything like that, because that's just boring, right? No one really cares about that too much. Nice true. Nice. Okay, so now fast forwarding a bit more, we get to essentially the current situation in Destiny now, which is like a lot of people are leaving. So ask yourself, why are a lot of people leaving? Well, for a few reasons. One would be the fact that most of the people who stay, so to speak, are actually the PvP players, right? Because we have this love-hate relationship with the game. We love the game, but we still hate the game, yet we still play it, right? That's the PvP player experience for you guys. But that is not the main reason why the game essentially has such a short, or rather is on life support right now. You see, what the player base, or rather what the devs kind of failed to really do, is make anything substantially entertaining and rewarding for the casual player to want to come and play. You see, even though you could say that they are targeting the casual player base, are they really? You know, are they really targeting the casual player base? Like, maybe some of the changes they made to PvP to make it accessible for the casual players, like, you know, trials opening up, Iron Banner not having light level advantages, competitive basically ignoring weapon levels so you can use sunset weapons and everything like that. Sure, it basically means you let the new players come in, right? But at the same time, at the very start when new players come in, imagine them just getting dunked on in PvP by absolute like sweats that play the game for forever. At a point in time, I would say myself included, but not anymore since I haven't played in a hot minute, and I've definitely had most of my skill in that game eroded, right? So as a result of that, like, oh, so yeah, they basically come in, get shit on, and then it gives them a negative, you know, impression of playing PvP, so they don't play it anymore. And since they don't play the PvP anymore, the PvP just dies, because there's nothing to really keep them there. The PvP, as much as you guys PvE players would hate to admit it, the PvP is what actually gets the player base, like, you know, to stay, not the PvE. Once people finish their whatever content, right, with PvE, they go and play other games, because these other games will be maybe more rewarding or more worth their time. That has always been what it was, by the way. Like, look at when Path of Exile came out, which I did play around the time when it first came out. I do have some clips of that. I don't know whether I'm gonna make any shots from that or anything, but yeah. Basically, when Path of Exile first came out, right? It definitely fought with a lot of content creators. Look at some of the popular content creators that actually went to play Path of Exile when it came out, because that was worth their time. That was the main important point. Was it worth my time? And if the answer was a resounding yes, then obviously I would go and do it, right? Okay, let's freeze everything actually. Yep, that's fine. So yeah. Oh yeah, basically that used to be Michael Jackson. And if you actually go back, the old Michael Jackson, the legs were actually both forward. Unlike most zombies whereby they have one leg just twisted backwards. Yeah, basically like that, okay? So yeah, that was great. That was a great time back then to be alive and playing this game. Ooh, Doomshroom. But yeah, love it or hate it, that's the current situation in Destiny. The new players who want to come and play and enjoy the game just get shit on by the sweats, then they don't play the game. As a result of not playing the game, then the game becomes, you know, stagnant. When the game becomes stagnant, that's kind of what people face now, you see? Less people play, people leave, the game gets less and less players. We get the current situation we're in where players are leaving because there's not enough people actively playing to keep the game alive, so to speak. Because you need players in a live service game, otherwise you're not gonna get any progress, man. Although I would say that, would I have traded my experience in Destiny for anything else? No. Because if you skip back to, oh, it's been 40 minutes now. Oh god, it's actually been a long time. Skip back to maybe halfway through this video, you would have known that I place a significant level, or significant amount rather, of importance on having friends and strong social networks so that, you know, they can keep you afloat, especially when times are tough. Sometimes you get sad, sometimes you feel lonely, right? And if I never played Destiny, I never would have met these people I would call my friends. And I've met them in real life too, by the way, so it's not like they are complete internet strangers, okay? So yeah, I will never trade it for anything, because as, you know, cringe as some of you might find what I'm about to say next, they are my friends and they mean more to me than, you know, any opinion someone might have over me having played Destiny. So yeah, which is why I said in the last video, right, even if you're a Destiny player, right, don't be afraid to just tell me in the comments below, because been there, done that, right? And besides, what I want to make this like a community of sorts for me is that anyone who is like me, right, who is like, oh yeah, you know, you may feel lonely, or, you know, you may feel that you just want to leave something of significance behind, then yeah, just feel free to talk. Because I think one of the things I enjoy the most, frankly, especially when I watch like some of my favorite content creators in their videos, is that I like reading the comments that people actually say. Some of you say the most unhinged things, but at the same time, some of you are, you know, very mild-mannered, and some of you are just normal lurkers like me, just reading the comments and not really saying anything. Like, I'm a huge lurker, dude. I don't like to, like, what? I don't like to comment excessively, because I feel like if you have nothing better to say, then don't say it. That's my take anyways, right? But I don't mind when other people say that to me, because anything you say about what I currently do is an improvement. It's a way for me to improve what I'm currently doing. For example, maybe you guys don't want to hear me yap this much, right? Then let me know, then I will pivot to something else next time, because yeah, I just want to learn how to eventually talk when I have a moving chat going at like, okay, I'm exaggerating when I say 100 miles an hour, but like, I don't know, maybe 3 lines a minute, something like that. So when that happens, I want to be able to, you know, communicate my thoughts across properly. And as a result of that, this is practice if anything, right? And for any of you who's also wanting to use this idea, like what I'm doing right now, using videos as a practice to talk to yourself, go ahead. This is not like an idea that I want to keep to myself. If it's an idea that you want to use, go ahead, because yeah, it's nothing shameful for wanting to learn and practice about things, you know? The thing is, talking over the screen like right now is much more difficult than talking in person, for me at least. Like, to me, talking to people like IRL is much easier since I can vibe off the surroundings. Like if someone makes a funny joke, oh yeah, make the same joke, okay? Like, or if someone says something unhinged, try to match his unhinged energy, right? But over the screen, especially since now there is no one to bounce the energy off, I have no idea what I should be saying, so I'm just saying what comes to my mind, right? So I hope you guys enjoy that specifically. If you guys don't enjoy that, then again, it's fine. Give me that as a feedback and I will learn. Dancing zombie. Freeze. There we go. Yeah, let's put that here. Great. Oh, by the way, if any of you have seen the unhinged masterpiece that is Plants vs. Zombies Fusion, I think, because of all the weird combination and basically like beast of a zombies, okay, not really, what's the term for it, like basically those extremely difficult to kill zombies that were essentially spawn, right? Like, have you seen some of the stuff that they can do? I've seen some of the videos of that, and while this is definitely not reflective of this, it's something that you guys should definitely look at and something I might play in the future, you know, because it looks cool, just don't know how to do it, how to download it. Hello, we would like to visit for a midnight snack. How does ice cream and brain sound? Sincerely, the zombies. I don't know why they suddenly sound like Dracula, honestly, with all the Z's, but yeah. I know it's a bit more American to say Z's, right? But I just found that saying Zek sounds so, like, to me anyways, odd. I think that's mainly because I've grown up watching a lot of American, like, cartoons. Like, I think, what? What's a American cartoon that I've grown up watching, actually? Johnny Bravo, Codename, Kids Next Door. Like, what else actually? No, I'm literally drawing a blank. I'm brain farting over this. Can you stop giving me Grave Busters, by the way? So yeah. Oh yeah, but Johnny Bravo is just hilarious. Oh, diamond. This is actually really lucky of me, by the way. I haven't gotten this many diamonds ever. And in case you're thinking I'm manipulating anything, I don't even know how to do any RNG manipulation, man. Otherwise, I'll be trying to do speed runs or something. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time, honestly. But yeah, that's just how it is. Go away. It's not gonna kill in time. If I have a ice shroom, it'll be great. But yeah. Oh, whoops. That's fine. I like how it leaves my zombie alive, as though this was not just a targeted nuke on the area. Goodbye, screen door. What's with all the grave busters? And I know that's it just resting, by the way, which is kind of hilarious considering that these are zombies. So yeah, they're gonna move about and eat our brains if they're not resting anymore. So yeah. Anyways, all those cartoons I watched, kind of, none of them were, you know, like none of them actually spoke, I think, using the English or British accent, basically. British accent, sorry. And as a result of that, I'm like, my accent is kind of like, sometimes it can lapse into both like American and British English. So that's kind of why it sounds so strange sometimes, but you know. So one of the things I might have gotten teased last time in school for, but whatever, right? I don't really care too much about that because that's just what people like to do, you know. They find what's different about certain people and try to make it an entire character that they were like, oh yeah, look, this guy's weird because he's saying certain things, right? But you know, I'm fine. I've dealt with it, and it's frankly a small thing. Oh my god, all the instants. It's frankly a small thing compared to some of the other horrors that could have been. Like, imagine being just bullied outright for, like, I don't know, looking different. Like, that happens, by the way. It's a thing, and I wish society was never like that, but you know, things like that do happen, unfortunately, and the only thing we can do is just be better as a result, you know. Because here's the thing, a lot of people would like to say they wish these kind of things never existed, but my take on it is, if something like this never existed, people would not know how to properly react to it, right? Like, example, let's just say that discrimination and derogatory terms don't exist, right? Let's assume they don't exist now and world could be peaceful, but who's to say it would not come back in a couple of years, right? So that's why I just wish people would just be more accepting. I think that's the most important thing, right? Being more accepting and receptive to people's origins, different backgrounds, and all of that. That's the most important thing in the world, you know. It's not like, it's to just be able to accept, you know. I think that's just the system for it. I don't want to really talk about this because I'm not a fan of it, frankly, but yeah. Oop, before he even got to spawn his army. My defense looks very odd, honestly, in this situation. But yeah. Anyways, I don't want to talk about sad things like, you know, what could have happened or what has happened. Instead, let's just talk about all the positive things, right? So yeah. Let's talk about the positive things and keep everything to a lighter note, since this video is basically about to end soon. So I think what I would like to say is, again, thank you guys for literally watching what I've been putting out, because to me, you know, I said this many times, like, you could never understand what it means to me for, like, you guys watching my content, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. Mainly because when you guys watch, I understand that it may fight for your time, you know, to like it fights for your time, because you could have watched other content creators, yet you choose to watch, well, me, and I don't consider myself anything special, you see. Oh, they're out of range, actually. Too bad that's not patched up. Yeah, that will eventually die. There we go. And so that is the lily pad and the last seed for this entire, you know, night section. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.